Hey everybody, since this was recorded last night, there was an update to the Gen Con schedule posted. Be sure to check out the Facebook group or the WizKids page for the information on nationals. You can pre-reg for one qualifier and then try to get into the other qualifiers if they are not full. Pre-registration for events starts on Sunday, May 15th, so just in 2 days from when this releases on Friday. So just keep that in mind, and also check out Auxxit buy sell trade forum, link in the description to register. Some more cool stuff coming up from them this month, so be sure to check out the ads later this month as well. And with that, right into the episode.
Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at LuckyDiceCafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, and Tyler Speeds.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host Daniel Powell speaking. Just want to let everyone know that Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, the world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your HeroClix order. Merchant and pre-order items do not apply. And joining me today is Alex Go Guard the Prizes Coos.
I did that for like 5 minutes.
Well, that's like the last memory I had, because they were like, go talk to Alex because he's guarding the prizes.
I was gonna say I did a lot more than just guarding the prizes, but
I know you did, but that was like the last thing you did. And then additionally we have two guests today, from Team Uncannied Off. First of all, we have TJ Wheeler.
Hey everybody.
And then we have Kaleb Redick.
Hello.
So, Uncannied Off. So TJ, for those that didn't know, is a member of Team Clixed Off, and then Kaleb is a member of the Uncanny Clixmen. And TJ, Kaleb, and I teamed up and roomed together for the HeroClix for Huntingtons / Rock Cup event that just happened. So today's episode, we wanted to talk about our experiences, because we all kind of three shared it together and kind of had a journey there. And of course with Alex, Alex being busy with a lot of the judging and stuff, kind of had his own, own experience, if that's what you want to call it, Alex, right? Like you had shit to get done, and you had to
I thought this whole podcast was just going to cover our 3v3 team sealed event on Thursday. I thought that's what we were going to talk about this whole time.
Well, that's what we're going to start to talk about.
We don't need to talk about anything else, really. Like, I think
that was definitely
the most,
the
most important event there.
I'll just see myself out then.
So the trip was interesting for me, at least. My trip started out with picking up Lucas Tom Van Hollen, Michael Kornichuk, and Jack Smith at the Nashville airport, which was different because that was California, Minnesota, and New Jersey that I had picked up. Otherwise, I was going to make the drive by myself. So their flights in went fine. And we had some Cinco de Mayo stuff and got checked in and waited on the Thursday night sealed to start. So TJ did run into Nashville traffic. That was our plan. We're going to play with Alex. Kaleb was running late, got his flight switched, got in on time. We're going to play in this Thursday night 3v3 sealed. There were 6 boosters, right? Do you remember the 6 boosters? Unleashed, Chaos War, Invincible Iron Man, Teen Titans, Slosh, and what was the 6th one?
Who knows?
I don't remember.
What's Egghead from?
That was Invincible Iron Man.
We had Slosh. What was the X-Men one?
Gosh, I don't think this is. I don't know.
Explosion?
I said explosion, so it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were a lot.
Yeah, it was. So it was. Yeah, it was a bunch of old stuff for sure. But it was. Yeah, it was. Slosh, Teen Titans were the two Marvel, the DC ones, and then we had Invincible Iron Man, Explosion, Chaos War, and then that last one is just eluding me. Oh, was it Amazing Spider-Man?
Spider-Man, yeah, Spider-Man.
Amazing, Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah. So we did get what, 2 super rares technically, right? Because we pulled
yes, technically,
the Line of Fire guy from Slosh.
Way to be descriptive on that one.
Way to be, yeah. There was the guy that was a Tellus. I'm looking. It was Tellus.
Tellus. That was, yeah.
And then we got one other super rare, right?
The Ray. The Ray was super rare.
Right. So ultimately, we pulled garbage, and there was nothing that we could make work. We quickly went 0-2, and dropped out. As it was already.
We did get 2 wins. We got 2 wins. Don't like out of the 3 each round, because it's 3v3. We did get a win in the first 2 rounds. It does ultimately didn't matter. But we were aiming for a win at least.
Right, we wanted a win out of the 3 of us. TJ showed up just in time for the event to start, so I guess he could have played with us because it didn't start till like 7:30. But that was okay. So we quickly dropped out of that, and we're going to go rest. But we had to go to the airport, and Kaleb and I spent 3 hours at the Huntsville airport waiting on his bag to arrive.
Because it did not make the earlier flight that I did.
No, it did not. So I guess that's better than you arriving at like 2 in the morning. So, you know, I don't know, that kind of like started us out on a little bit of a tired streak, I guess. But not really that bad, right? You know, we got some good, you know, we went to go see Doctor Strange as a group that Friday morning, which was really cool.
Pretty big group. There's like 8 or 9 of us, right?
Yeah, there was the 4 of us, and then 4 from 4 Points, and then I think they had like 2 or 3 people. No, because then there was Jackson and Lucas, so that was 10, and then I think at least 2 from the Louisiana crew. So I think there was 12 of us in the theater that watched.
Yeah, I know John Murillo. I think that's his name.
John Murillo. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I had suggested or talked about it, I think maybe on the podcast. I don't know if I did or not. Saying, hey, you know, we're all there. We should absolutely go see it. And it worked out where, I mean, we were kind of pushing it, getting back to the tournament that morning, but it worked out. It was fun seeing the movie in person with people who enjoy the movies and hearing Dan get excited.
Right. So. Yeah. So I do get rather excited watching movies. You know, I enjoy all superhero movies. You know, even the quote unquote bad ones, I still enjoy them because I enjoy that I have the opportunity for them to be made. You know, they could make another romantic comedy instead of, you know, a Batman, right? Or Doctor Strange. So I enjoy all superhero movies, and Doctor Strange was a really good movie. Kaleb, TJ, what did y'all enjoy the movie?
Yeah, I had a blast. It was great getting to just hang out with everybody there too. We did an early morning breakfast and a change of plans right at the beginning, where I went and picked up Lucas and Jackson.
Yeah. But...
So and then Dan gave the disclaimer that he gets excited at the movies before it started, so we would be ready for him to hoop and holler.
Yeah.
but
Which
we had to- Go ahead.
I was gonna say, which to be fair, like there were other people hooping and hollering at the 9 a.m. Friday movie too. It was just not me.
If I can, I'm gonna skip that type of theater. Good gravy. It felt like an hour worth of ads at the beginning. Like my goodness, there
It
was
did.
so many ads.
You know, I did enjoy that they, had the app with food delivery that you could pre-order.
Needed it. You're there for 10 hours. So you needed
Right.
them to be
The ads were a little long, but the app with delivery. I mean, we have some good theaters here locally with food, but they don't have their app with food delivery.
Yeah. But hey, cool movie. I didn't expect to see Robert Pattinson's Batman crossover into it. That's cool. The DC Marvel matchup. That was really neat. I didn't expect to see that, but DC can't make good movies, so I guess Marvel's just like, hey, we'll help out.
Oh gosh. So, but yeah. So then we went back to start the sealed, which was Scott Porter versus the World, which Scott Porter almost won, but that ended up being the Battle of the Iron Allfather, right? Michael Holloway, listener and supporter of the show, won that tournament. But I think as far as our recap there, so TJ, how many? So the tournament was Scott Porter versus the World. You got to mulligan your boosters, one World of Rounds, one SVAC, but you had to mulligan them both. And you had 5 charity probs per round for each player to use, and they were like global re-roll situation. So TJ, how many times did you mulligan, and what was your team that you ended up playing, and what was your record?
So the first 2 boosters I opened, the best thing I had was Spider-Man 2099. So I did 1 mulligan. I ended up with the Chase Iron Man from War of the Realms, Venom Doctor Strange, the Uncommon Spider-Man from the Spider-Man Carnage set, and then a Uncommon Vision for Prob, and then of course Kate Bishop Hawkeye.
Yeah, that was strong. Kaleb, what did you? What was your record, TJ? What did you end up with your record?
I ended up, I think 4-1 in Swiss, and then made the top 8 there.
Nice. Kaleb, what about you? I know how much you love sealed. That's something
Oh gosh,
something we learned this
absolutely
weekend.
hate sealed.
No, you love it.
Oh man, it's my favorite of all the formats to play in. So I was looking at my pieces. I know I had my best piece. I mulliganed twice, or once, I guess. I pulled a total of the first pull. I got everything garbage, and then went for a second and thought that I pulled a decent team. Most of it was close combat. My best piece was I was trying to remember all of my pieces, and I don't remember. It was that good of a team. But Thor, the Mary Jane that has the Mjolnir marker that she can drop and make free close attacks, was the best piece that I pulled. And then I also got the Spider-Man that gives adjacent friendly characters super senses, which didn't really help me out in my very last game when every sense was missed against, thank you, TJ, who knocked me out. We played each other on game 5, and both of us were a win or get kicked out team, and he had a complete range-based team, and I made 0 attacks against him and missed every super sense roll.
Oh, wow.
As far as charity probs, I used I think 23. There was one game where I only used, or I didn't use the full 5 that we had allotted. As far as my record, I went 2-3. I was 2-2 going into my game against TJ.
Oh, wow. So you were the highest 2-2 at that point, and TJ was the lowest 1 loss.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's a rough place for really both of y'all to be in, because I think we had 34 or 5 people for that one.
So there were a lot of people playing Swiss.
I don't know if Alex, you remember how many how many?
Yeah,
we had.
I think it was 34 because you had to include Scott, so I think it was 34. Right. Sounds right.
Yeah. So it was like one loss, and then a couple of 2 losses got in. So, well, I didn't realize that y'all mulliganed so few times. So I pulled my first 2 boosters. I think I might have gotten that Spider-Man 2099. You know, I pulled around with my boosters, was not pleased at all. Then I mulliganed the first time, and did not. I got Crusader, and but I didn't have anything else to build with Crusader. And everyone was like, "You're mulligan Crusader? You're crazy." And I'm like, there's just nothing else. And so I mulliganed a second time. So now I'm $90 in, and I pulled absolute trash. I think that's when I got that Spider-Man 2099. And I'm like, oh boy. And then I was like, Alex, is there a 4th mulligan available? And luckily enough, there was enough available for a 4th set of boosters, or 3rd mulligan. And I finally pulled Absolute Carnage, super rare. So I played 3 of my figures from that booster. It was Absolute Carnage at 200 points. And then Toxin at 50, and then Eddie Brock. So it was a Codex theme team at 285 points. I ended up going 4-1 in Swiss. Top 8, I did meet Scott Porter. And he 1-turned my Absolute Carnage as I missed 5 Shape Change rolls and 1 Super Sense roll. But I think I used all my charity probs. I think I used 20 out of the 6 rounds. So the 12 attack with Absolute Carnage helped out a whole bunch in sealed. So my loss in Swiss was against our other teammate, Jason Allen. So that was a well-earned victory on his part. So he had that Miles too that gave adjacent friendly character super senses, and he rolled a 6 twice against my Absolute Carnage Precision Strike.
Oof.
But at the end of the day, like, that event, like, that sealed was super well prized out, and I ended up with I don't know, some crazy amount of prizing for that.
Yeah, that's something we I mean, now that the event's over, could be a little bit more candid, I guess. I mean, that's something that prizing was obviously one of the issues. Besides the weekend date and all of that, when we were able to announce prizing was just it was a little too late. And on top of that, when you hear these type of big events, you think, okay, the team welcome event, 2 players, sealed event, okay, it's all about the 3v3 and then the nationals, Silver Age Nationals. But in reality, it isn't that. The prizing was built around the sealed event and the Silver Age Nationals. The 3v3 was Rock Run, as opposed to HeroClix for Huntingtons. And so the sealed event was the second best prized event out of the weekend. But that was, some people just didn't realize that, I think. But I think most of the people that were there to play the sealed event showed up and played the rest of the weekend. Not everybody, but most people, I think. So
right.
It's just something to keep in mind going forward. I mean, obviously, we're going to be making some changes, most likely. But, the prizing for the sealed event, if you didn't see it, I mean, it was ridiculous. We prized everyone out. Like, everyone. It was 33 people. That's what it was. It was 34 with Scott, yes. Because we had prizing the 32. And then we're like, that really sucks if you get 33rd place and you just don't get anything when it goes to 32. Like, that'd be kind of, we would be jerks if we just did that. Like, man, you went 0-5 and you're like at the bottom. Well, sorry, Bucko, you get nothing.
Right.
But that guy that went 1-4, he gets a prize. So we ended up prizing out the 33, and the good thing is like I believe this was the event we insisted. You need to stay in the event. You need to play through everything. We tried to insist that with all our tournaments, because if you drop out, then you're not really eligible for prizing. And with events like this that prizes everyone out, well, obviously you just want to play through the pain a bit. Because I think I believe this one cut to 8, right? Was this the top 8?
Yeah, it did. It cut to 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So with this tournament, we had prizing at top 32, then top 16, top 8, top 4. So even if you knew you weren't going to make top 8 and cut, it still was a good idea to try to play your last games out, because you might be able to get top 16. So even though you wouldn't play single elimination, you still got better prizing. But yeah, hopefully next year people will get the prizing out sooner, and people will pay attention to what exactly is going on, because the sealed event had ridiculously good pricing.
Right.
So.
And it's going to be the first weekend of May again in 2023, which is not Mother's Day. Mother's Day is the second weekend of May.
Yeah, it only happens every 7 years that the 1st of May is a Sunday, so that results in Mother's Day being the 7th, like the 2nd. So this year it worked out to where we were going for the first Sunday, and it ended up being that was Mother's Day. Mother's Day is usually the second weekend. It's just the way this one worked out. It shouldn't happen again for many years, and hopefully we'll plan for that one that 1 year in 7 years or whatever for the next Mother's Day to occur. But
right.
Yes, the beginning of May, the first weekend of May, is the plan.
Have y'all not already started prepping for 7 years from now? That's just me.
We're only at 5, so we haven't made it all the way out there. We don't really know prizing yet. WizKids just hasn't gotten to us what prizing's available in 5 years. So
oh, okay.
Really slacking on their part. No, I'm just kidding.
That doesn't sound right.
Say what?
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, no, I mean,
no, not at all.
Yeah, they haven't told us about the upcoming Infinity Challenge 2 Electric Boogaloo set that's coming out. So, that's coming out in 5 years.
Oh
so.
Gosh, that's hilarious if you predicted that correctly. 2027 Clixed Off is like, we were right, Boogaloo set. So, all right, so the big event for us. So, and I want to just take a second. Like the room that we got at the hotel room that we got was really nice, right? So Saturday morning we woke up, we got breakfast. It was probably worth the $15 for breakfast, although the waffle threw me off in that morning.
Was it an awful waffle?
It was a limp waffle. Waffle.
For all those who catch that reference. But,
okay. Waffle. We didn't eat at Waffle House any though.
No, awful waffle is a different reference. What hotel? Did you say what hotel you were at?
The DoubleTree.
The DoubleTree.
Yeah, the DoubleTree.
Okay.
Did you eat breakfast there on Monday morning, Caleb, or did you go do something else?
No, I just went to the airport kind of early, like 5 hours early.
Oh, gotcha. So the three of us, where this was our big deal. Saturday was the 3v3 event. So Caleb played Monsters. Caleb, do you want to run down your team?
Yeah, so I went Monsters with a +9 theme. I went Sky Tyrant, the Super Air Jubilee, Scarab, Venom Magneto, Eddie Brock with his alternate ego, the Prime Venom on the sideline, a Moloid, a Green Proteus, Orange Proteus, Carnage, Enchanted Crowbar, a Reality Gem, Joker's Gas Canister, and a Flash ID. I only brought one map with me, which was Otherworld Castle.
Was that on purpose or?
Yes, because
Okay.
I was using Jubilee and I had zero interest in playing her on any other map.
So you weren't pulling a Tyler and just like, I forgot my map.
No, he had we had access, and we actually had probably probably about an hour discussion on, is there any situation where we put Kaleb on a different map and we couldn't think of anything that was reasonable?
Sorry to interrupt. I was just curious.
No, you're fine.
Well, I was just going to say, of all the games we played, I never lost map roll one time, so it worked out in my favor.
So I think the one tech thing that we wanted to bring up was Eddie, right? We were wondering how to get Sky Tyrant and Jubilee across the map, and it ended up being our autonomous 35-point guy, Eddie Brock, to autonomously call in the flash on turn 1. Or, I'm sorry, on turn 2. The turn two. The turn that you go. So that was really the coolest thing. You only had the one ID. You ended up going 3 and 2 on the day. We all ended up going 3 and 2. So no, there was no hard carries on our version. TJ, what did you end up playing, and what was your thought behind what you played? I guess Kaleb will have you answer that question first. What was your thought about having you play Sky Tyrant and Jubilee?
So it worked out in most of my games. Not on that map when you're playing against someone with a lot of colossals, and they can body block pretty well. Their backline from my Sky Tyrant. The trick with the enchanted crowbar worked out really nicely to get around the Superman inspiration of Invincible, which kind of shuts down Sky Tyrant. But so the enchanted crowbar takes the Invincible away and gives them invulnerable, which then Sky Tyrant exploits. So that was a neat little trick that worked. Jubilee was very hard to kill, except for when you have a beast ID that can just turn off her protected, which was the one game that she got KO'd. That's how it happened. I think my most difficult matchup was against another monster variant that had Blackheart and Sky Tyrant versus Jubilee and Sky Tyrant.
Right, and that was the game we ended up losing, right?
Yeah, that was the round that I lost by 13 points and TJ won by 13 points.
Yeah, that was our top 4.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I think, we did the crowbar, we had a Moloid, and we did the Joker's gas, so you could hit a single target for 5 straight through, basically, save for senses, and then Jubilee removes all the terrain and all the good stuff that she does. So,
mm-hmm. Which in one of my matches was against a non-theme using Molecule Man, and they probably had 15 squares of maybe 12 squares of barrier, and she just went over and erased it all.
No, that was against the Scientist theme team. That was against the eventual winners of the event that we lost to in round 4.
Oh, was he a Scientist? Okay.
Yeah, he was Scientist. That was Chris Cottrell. I lost to Jack, and TJ lost to Randy. So TJ, we kicked around a few different builds for you. Tell us what you had settled on for the event.
So basically, I settled on my modern team minus the green Proteus that Kaleb was using, and using ID cards in that place. So it was Legacy Thanos, the 2x2 Magneto, and then Dr. Thing starting on the map as a Ruler 3 theme team. Actually, really still like that build. Doom Swiss Army Knife is so much better than anybody gives it credit for, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just one of those things that's like, even if you lose map, the Doom 67 is still a really good control piece, and Lord Doom. Did you use anything but Lord Doom, or I'm sorry, Doom 67 that day?
I didn't, based on my matchups. He made the most sense. Fantastic Four not having 2 Lockjaws, it wasn't necessary to leave Dr. Thing out there. And they start with Franklin on the board, so I couldn't even keep him from getting in.
Right, right. And then which IDs did you play?
So I had the Colossus ID with the Prime Colossus, the 2x2, and then I had Beast with the Chase Beast, and my third one is escaping me. It must have been Green Arrow. No, you had Green Arrow.
No, I didn't have. This is the same confusion we had the day of the event.
This is exactly what we had a
One of y'all
conversation
had
that morning.
Green Arrow, one of y'all had.
Oh, I
Chase
had the
Beast.
Black Panther.
Yeah, you had the
Gauntlet
black. You had
Panther.
you had the Black Panther. That's right.
Yeah, with the Gauntlet Panther or the 25-point Panther if necessary.
Right, right. And then I played, and Alex, you may have seen some other things here to contradict me, but I think I played the most Silver Age team that existed in the field as far as the main force goes. I played Unibind, Convention Lockjaw, Skyscraper Wonder Woman, and AI Groot with the Carnage symbiote. I had 4 IDs. I had Superman with JOU 010, or I'm sorry, 018 Superman, Jean Grey with XDPS Chase Jean Grey, Black Widow with Chase Black Widow, and Wonder Woman with Chase Wonder Woman from Harley Quinn, and Defend Wonder Woman from the Wonder Woman 80 set. So I ended up going 3-2 on the day as well. Both of my losses were to Thanos, and I said that was only because we all couldn't play Thanos. But it was pretty cool. My uni never got popped, and my Lockjaw died more so than anything, and that was what was my downfall. I couldn't keep Lockjaw alive. The thing that takes 6 hits to KO got hit 6 times every game almost.
Those fire tokens, right?
Yeah, it was fire tokens. That was the worst part. I mean, Uni could get around the fire tokens because he can pick Invincible before implying the fire tokens. So that was the roughest part for me, and probably why the two. And I lost map to the Thanos both times. Yes, I did, because we played on the Realm of Death map. Yeah, I lost the map to Thanos both times. That was unfortunate. I mean, I had a retail in our top 4 that just missed. Like 3 theme probs, I couldn't roll a 6. Not that would have won.
This was Groot, right?
No, this was Skyscraper Wonder Woman got to retail. So I made her a 12 attack. I had a line. I actually had to call out an ID. I called out Black Widow to go running shot a wall, and then I had to call out the recruit to punch a wall, and then Skyscraper Wonder Woman came in and needed to roll a 6 to KO Molecule Man. And she just missed. Like, there was no... I rolled 1-9 that I got probbed out of. So if it had been a 10, Black Widow's dice trait would have came into play. No correction, it wouldn't, because Black Widow's dice thing is only for standard characters. But, yeah, so there was not even a chance of that. So 1-9, and then the rest were, like, below a 6. A bunch of 5s. So that kind of ended my run at the end of the day. Carnage Symbiote did what it was supposed to do. It was really nice being able to heal up Uni by KOing Pogs and getting points with dual targets and Pulse Wave and all kinds of stuff. It made me miss what could have been maybe had COVID not had happened. But Black Widow was a great call-in. They never even tried to attack her. So it was really good. It was really cool. So we ended up top 4, right? We got a bunch of prizing for that, so it was pretty sweet. Our friends from Kentucky and plus Jackson won. So Chris Cottrell, Randy Carter, and Jackson Smith won the team event. Became 3v3 champions, so that was really cool for them. So congrats to those guys. Any other major takeaways from the 3v3 that you guys had, or any other major like cool plays that you pulled off?
I mean, I enjoyed being able to shoot over barrier and then just erase it all for free, and then send Tyrant in with Moloid to do his quick exploit.
Right. That's
not really a unique trick. That's just a trick that works with them.
It's a really fun trick, right?
There's not so many Thanos tricks like that, so I went and faced through some walls and then mind control some people.
Yeah.
Well, I like another trick that is also known, the Orange Proteus retallying and then generating barrier around someone, and they, like a Thanos, they can't phase away because he takes away their improved movement. And I got to do that against somebody, and he said, well, I'll just then shoot Orange Proteus. And because I'm on Otherworld Castle, it's outdoor map, he does and killed Orange Proteus. So it's a very short-lived trick, but it worked.
Oh, he just KO'd it, you mean?
Yeah, he just KO'd it, then phased away afterwards. So I missed my
Right.
shape change on Orange Proteus.
Gotcha.
But it was neat getting to tell him, you can't phase first because I take away your improved movement. And then he just killed him.
Right.
Oof.
Yeah, that makes for it. But if you'd hit the shape change, boy, it would have felt a lot better.
Then Thanos would have just been stuck.
That's right. That's right.
Just gotta roll out.
Yeah, he's got to roll in 5s and 6s.
You just
The
gotta roll that
bane to
die.
my weekend, the rollouts.
Right. So the other, I don't know, the other thing that I thought was really cool is that, man, Groot felt just as powerful as he always had. You played Groot on Sunday, right, TJ? Because you were playing the same thing I played, right?
Yeah, our team was basically the same on Sunday. I've had Groot and Skyscraper 1 on my team then.
Right. Yeah, Groot felt really good. Skyscraper Wonder Woman felt just as amazing as ever. You know, her breakthrough blocking, her retal, all of it was really amazing. So I mean, she felt like she was just as good as any modern piece out there. And of course Groot did too. Which is crazy to think that like Skyscraper Wonder Woman came out in 2017, so she's nearing 5 years old and feels just as good as ever. It feels like if she came out today, she might even be costed higher than what she is right now.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, it feels like she would probably get an 11 attack and be costed at like 25 points. But then Sunday, we went in and I had a bye, so I got straight to the top 16, where we played one round of Swiss and went to the top 8. But Kaleb and TJ had to play through. And Kaleb, why don't you start out? Talk about what you played, why you played it, some of your matches went. Kaleb also was streamed on the Clixed Off YouTube as well.
Yep. So going into that, I had three. Well, I started out with just 2 types that I wanted to either come with, a Thanos team or a monster team. And then PJ recommended the soldier team. And I thought, man, that soldier team can really KO a Thanos, barring a senses roll. They can just chew through a very hard to kill figure that will be popular. So it was soldier team. It was a +7. It was the Captain America Samantha Cap that gives the +3 to movement. That can call in after being carried. The Green Lantern super rare at 50 from Wonder Woman 80 that makes the green mitt construct. Captain Marvel Prime. I played 3 of the Foot Elite boomerangs, and a Maridroid for the retail, the Pym particle tank, Asgardian shield, Iceberg Lounge bonus, Green Arrow ID, Superman ID, Magneto, the Wanted poster ID, the Flash ID, and Cyclops ID. And I played the maps. I brought Iceberg Lounge and Glen Grove as the options. With the Green Lantern generating construct, then can carry, and then the Mitt gets KO. That's how the Boomerangs got their free attacks. Then I also had this was a night before, even though Dan tried to convince me 2 weeks before to add the Green Oracle that Green Lantern can switch into for free. And then I had the Ultra Chase Peggy Carter for Captain America for her whatever that trait's called.
The
Living Legend.
The Living Legend, yeah. So it was funny in this case, right? Like, so TJ and I had talked a lot about how to counter soldiers. But we also shared that information with Kaleb on how to better his soldier team. And like I told him, like, you just switch the Green Lantern into Green Oracle and it's just one more movement and it's just better. And he's like, I don't know about all that. And it's like, but that's how you KO the Mitt and stuff. It's just how it works. And luckily Howard had one for sale in the store. But we had to convince you of that, Kaleb. I still don't know I went to sleep and I still don't know how y'all drunkenly came around to playing the Asgard Shield. Mind you sharing how you reached that conclusion.
Yeah, so their initial team I had 6 IDs, and it was Beast, the Student Beast, and it brought me to 299. And so I was trying to figure out, first we tried to figure out how to add on the emotional modifier, but that required getting rid of a big ID or a map bonus. And I figured that having little penguins to steal objects was kind of important. So decided that the emotion modifier wasn't going to happen, and so then we kind of tinkered around with, well, what else can we fit on the team that might work? And with Captain Marvel using his protecting, the trait that allows him to protect, I could give him a 20 defense from range, and then perplex it up to a 21, or sit and hindering for a 21.
So just FYI, the hindering terrain bonus doesn't work.
To be sitting in terrain when someone range attacks you?
Right, because you become the target. It don't draw a line of fire to you.
Okay.
So it didn't matter. Just to be clear, it didn't matter in your Brian matchup because he rolled an 11. So
yes, that was the one. That was my. Oh, no probs. Needing an 11 from Venom Magneto to KO Captain Marvel was rough.
Right, because otherwise, because Captain Marvel has stealth. You could
regen.
You could pop into stealth, right, and say, well, now you can't target me. But he becomes the target, so it's just like energy explosion. You don't draw a line of fire, so
right.
But Brian rolled the 11, so it didn't really matter.
Rolled an 11, and yeah. But the team, it's good. I realized after some coaching from PJ after the fact that Flash, the super rare double charge Flash, can use the tank and KO Blackheart in one turn versus me trying to chew through a Blackheart with my range-based team, and it never worked. Both times I faced a Blackheart.
Right. Yeah.
But it did work against a Thanos team. I beat the Thanos guy in, I think, 3 turns.
Yeah, it was really quick.
So it did its job against the Thanos.
Right. Yeah, and that was cool. And that was cool to see that you did that. So you ended up 2-3 on the day. You ended up with a little bit of bad luck there on some of the rollout or some of the rolls and that sort of thing. But overall,
But I had a lot of points. I had 1,200 something points, even though I went 2-3.
That's right. You were the highest points of the person who didn't make cut.
Yeah.
So you got the worst luck award. What all did you walk away with the worst luck award?
So the worst luck award it made it all worth it. I got a factory set of the Wonder Woman 80, which was nice. There's a couple of pieces I did not have yet from there. And then I got the full Fantastic Four OP kit with all the legacy cards and whatever other figures, the Fantastic Four figures that came with it. And then I got both of the maps that were winnable there. One of which was the Black Panther, but the locker room from Friday Night Lights that Scott Porter was in. And then I got some LEs. I got the Harley Quinn LE, the rock dice and rock sleeves.
Yeah.
And that was all from just having bad luck.
Yeah, that softens the blow a little bit. And so I appreciate you streaming. Letting me stream you. It was a little bit different for the weekend than all of the Thanos and Unimind they got to see played.
Yeah, it was nice getting to sit there and not have to move my pieces to different tables.
That was the biggest thing about streaming. You don't have to move. But plus I enjoy streaming. And I would say the other biggest thing, you weren't going to play Green Grove Cemetery, but then we reminded you that Iceberg Lounge has a spot in the middle of the elevator that Thanos can shoot out in phase 6 and 2, which makes it very difficult to try to shoot him because you can't tank up there either.
You can't tank. You have to shoot through the walls and then be mind controlled several times before you can even get to Thanos. And even at that, you're only doing maybe 2 attacks. So
that's right.
Probably not getting Thanos in that matchup.
No, and he can go so far. I mean, like, you can't retreat far enough. Like, he can get all the way to, like, 18. So you're going across the map, and then you can't really get back across the map that quickly to score the rest of his team. So that becomes a pretty difficult matchup if you don't do that. TJ, talk about your singles team. What did you play? And you made a couple of slight differences from what I played. Can you tell us why you wanted to make those changes, and do you think that they worked out?
So yeah, I played the Legacy Thanos, Groot, Flora, Sky Surfer Wonder Woman, Alchemical Fire, Molecule Man, and the Spin Ring. But I added the Pym tank onto my team because I thought that would help me in my Fantastic Four matchups. You have to play against Fantastic Four to have that benefit, though. So I did not get to reap the rewards there. It did work out against some monsters, so I think that it worked about 50% of the time, which is about as good as you can expect from the tank.
Right.
And then the ID cards, I still had Beast. I had Black Panther, but I only had the 25-point option. Then I had Black Widow, and I can't remember the other two. I think
Superman,
and
you kept Colossus.
I kept Colossus that day. Yes,
Right.
I thought the retail would be beneficial. It never came into play. My strategy with Thanos is to just not have points on the board. I only had 88 scoreable points unless I tanked or called things in. Unless you killed Thanos. However, I did tank probably one too many times that day, and it cost me. I also ended up 2 and 3, but with not a lot of points.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the few bad things the tank is. It does cost 50 points if you use it. That's fairly easy to kill.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. It worked out one time great, another time not very good at all, and then the third time it was kind of didn't change the game.
Makes
And
sense.
the one game it sat in the corner and it didn't do anything the whole game because I didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
So the tweaks that they helped and hurt, but I probably would just leave the tank off next time.
Right.
Yep.
Because you were at 298, right?
Yeah, ended up at 298.
Right. So you could have went with a second floor or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I just didn't like the tank. If you could mind control drop the tank still, that would just be chef's kiss. But can't do that anymore. So, but I tell you, that was how concerned as Thanos players we were about soldiers. Is that on your team you had 2 counters that you could possibly employ versus soldiers. But that was really what Black Panther was for, because the inspiration is barrier, smoke cloud, and stealth. So the idea is to barrier in, smoke cloud in, or call him in, barrier, smoke cloud, and then prevent them from coming over to alpha your team. Like, understand that you're going to lose Groot, Skyscraper, and Flora. But for the most part, right, you're going to have to try to save the rest of your team. And that's how worried we were about soldiers. Because I think it's a really good team. I think it's possibly even maybe I don't know, it's hard to say if it's the best. But it is a very strong team.
If you play it right, it's a very good team.
Right. And I don't think... Here's the thing, Caleb. I sat there and watched you all day, of course. And I was talking back and forth with PJ and whatnot. But I don't think you played it wrong. I definitely think you could have played it better. Because you certainly had when you win, you just win. You definitely had those situations worked out. But it was a little bit some of those intricacies. Like, I saw the flash play on the Blackheart, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a flash. Why is he not calling out flash?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what is he doing? I was like, you could also have KO'd. You could have also, like, got Sky Tyrant and I think Blackheart that play, or that turn. Mm-hmm. You could have also definitely have gotten, you could have definitely gotten Blackheart and Sky Tyrant, and maybe even Venom Magneto that particular turn. But
because getting both Sky Tyrant and Blackheart only takes Flash ID and 1 boomerang. I still have 2 boomerang attacks after that.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah, but here's the thing, right? We had just came off of, at least TJ and I just came off of a huge modern event at PJ's 2 weeks prior. And there hasn't been a lot of silver practice online, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of modern practice because I was definitely prepping for PJ's event a lot. And, just played a few silver games. And some of the stuff that we had even practiced with silver online wasn't the stuff that we saw,
Right.
So, it just turned out to be maybe not the right kind of prep for the field, right? So we had to I think all 3 of us just kind of had to rely on our experience to make it through. Were you going to say something, TJ?
Oh, no, I was just going to agree. It was not the field that I expected to see at all.
Right.
Well, there's no way. There was no way to predict what the field was going to be.
Well, we were going to know for sure, but we know we had to make some sort of prediction,
Yeah,
I would...
Go ahead. No, go ahead, TJ.
No, I was going to say, I would have predicted there would be more than 1 Goblin King in the field, and definitely would have thought that it would have took me and Dan convincing Lucas to play it the night before.
Yeah, that's funny. Lucas Tom Van Hollen was the only Goblin King in the field of 30-something, and he wasn't going to play it until the night before. That was funny. And he ended up making top 8.
That doesn't surprise me at all, though. Like, you guys in our team chat has been hyping up full point Gabi, and I do not think he's I think getting to top 8 with Gabi was probably a majority more on Lucas's capabilities than actual Goblin King. I just don't think he's nearly as good as he used to be. in my opinion. I mean, we only saw one of them, and he made top 8, sure, but still, it's just I didn't think he was going to make that big of a impact, and lo and behold, he really did it. So I'm not surprised, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, it just is what it is, I guess, on that front. But
yeah, one thing I want to say though is going into this event, I think this event was probably one of the most Wild West type of meta. Really, we just had no idea what to expect because this was the first major event. There was first ones with all the IDs, first major silver event, and all the little events that you might see that are silver, people kind of try things out but maybe not necessarily bring their A game into some of the tournaments. And so for me, I was eager to see what actually came to play because I thought it was mostly going to be modern with a little bit of silver, and I was kind of right, but kind of not. There was definitely a good mixture. So,
yeah. And so I would say while you're sitting there thinking about Alex, so you can just go ahead and just soak it in, just take it, because you get a big congratulations for suggesting the spin ring on our Thanos team. Because we originally were going to play Franklin, and I was like, oh, it's Franklin, it makes sense, looks good. And Alex was like, why don't you just play another Wonder Woman and the spin ring? And I'm like, that is a fantastic idea. And it ended up saving me my second game, or saving me my top 16 game. So I ended up making it into the top 16 because of my bye from the event last year. I was the only one of the 5 that did not earn their bye using Thanos. Thank you very much. The other 4 had all earned their byes winning with Thanos. I did not.
Yeah.
We're not going to mention the fact that he was not around at that time, but so in the top 16, I got paired against Matt Esbrook. So I played TJ's team, or the team that TJ played, but I had a second Skyscraper Wonder Woman, and I had the Chase Battle World Black Panther, which was the only Black Panther that I used in my 4 rounds that I played. But I played against Matt Esbrook in the top 16. Thanos phasing and calling in ID cards is really cool, and it helps a whole lot against those invisible women. But the only thing I didn't realize was that 3 clicks in, the invisible woman has shape change, and I was all just set up for the KO, and Matt was like, can I roll my shape change? And I was too stunned to speak, and he asked me after the event. He was or after the round, he was like, "Were you going to let me roll my shape change?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was. I did, but I just totally didn't know that you had it." So he missed it, thankfully. But a Widow's recruit, Widow popped Invisible Woman for 3. Then the recruit popped her for 3, and then poisoned her to death. From there, of course, Widow had stripped the powers from her dial and such, and then I mopped up the other Invisible Woman the next round. So I made it on the top 8 from there, where I played Michael Holloway, the winner of the Scott Porter versus the World event, and he was playing the Thanos, Captain Marvel, Dark Phoenix, Groot version, so no barrier on his version of the team. And I was able to wound his Thanos pretty heavily with a beast, and placing barrier between Thanos and Captain Marvel to block that line of fire. So that was really huge. Beast chase off the ID was really huge. And then Michael, kind of had burned some of his theme team probs early. And then he had a miss on his Dark Phoenix retail. And then the next turn after that, I mopped up his Thanos with his Dark Phoenix. But what I did like is that he put the Remaker ring on Thanos, which just deters you from wanting to attack him just a little bit more, which is a bit scary. Then top 4, I had a bit of luck versus Isaac Berkowitz, and I won map versus his monster team, which sounds like I would have had a blowout against him, but it wasn't. It came down to 265 to 270 point win. He scored my beast that I called in, which my beast did not roll higher than a 3 on blades at all. Anytime I called him in, only a 3, which was a bit sad. So Isaac was able to outwit and I didn't do the rally die. I didn't even think about the rally die, so he could have had Power Cosmic maybe. I don't know. But I didn't keep track of that, so I was just inexperienced with Beast there. And I guess he could have had Power Cosmic, but I didn't know. Isaac outwitted his defense, tagged him for 3, and then flurried him with a Walking Wood, rolling a 9 on the last click, which could not be probed. Because I was out of probs, he was out of probs. I didn't have a line of fire for him, anybody else. And my beast got KO'd, so that put a lot of pressure on me to finish out the game. My Wonder Woman did get to retail. It KO'd. I think it just KO'd. It didn't KO anything on the retail, but I did get a Carnage out of the deal, and the opening Mind Control was really what set the tempo in my favor. But it really had come down to the Frognir was not placed on the map, and the ruling that weekend in general is if you don't place it on the map, you don't give your opponent a chance to score it, which meant I scored it. So we were tied other than that. But the Frognir saved the day. So I made it to finals. Scott Crampton was playing in a different version of Thanos. He was playing Thanos Molecule Man, Groot, Captain Marvel. And I think I really had a really good command of the match to start out with. He won map, destroyed them all chemical fire, but my opening Mind Control KO'd his Molecule Man. My next turn, I was able to KO or retail and KO his Groot. Then the next turn after that, I was able to KO his Captain Marvel and his remaining Walking Wood. And then, so he was mopping up some of my things. I mean, one of my skyscrapers went down. And then the next turn after that, my Molecule Man went down after my Beast missed a 6 twice. Yeah, I had Thanos' prob and Beast prob, and I rolled a 5 both times. So, yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate. And then Scott mind controlled my Thanos, and he crit hit my own Widow's Recruit and Skyscraper Wonder Woman. So, in the grand scheme of things, the math had worked out a little bit more for Scott. I think if I had I don't know, because I still had a Walking Wood on the board, and I was out of IDs, but I had a Walking Wood set up, Thanos set up, and I just ran out of time, I think, to be able to get the rest of Thanos done. But that miss with Beast destroyed my tempo at that point. So congrats to Scott for winning. Everything, all my games were streamed on the Clixed Off YouTube if y'all want to go back and watch. So Scott was a fantastic opponent to play against, and I think if I had a few different rolls go my way, I might be able to been able to win.
Seal the deal.
Seal the deal. But I guess I'm allowed to say what I won now, right, Alex? Which I get to choose.
Well, I assume Scott was going to choose what he wanted, and then you get whatever's left over.
Right? Yeah, Scott. I don't know.
He could have done that night.
Yeah, he could have. But my understanding, he messaged Howard, and Scott's going to choose the Pog, and so I'm going to get to do the Legacy card, which is I can't describe how just badass that is. Right?
Yep.
For getting second place, I get to choose a Legacy card. That's
Yep.
super, super duper exciting. So no asking me what I'm going to choose. So because I can't tell you now. But
we can take bets on it though, right?
you can, I guess, if you want to start buying all of the old HeroClix ever.
Yeah, everybody start buying up those condiment kings.
Gosh, no way. Oh gosh. But yeah, so tons of prizing. I walked out with that.
Let me ask you this. Let me just
Yeah.
in general. What do you think could be the absolute worst figure to suggest for a legacy card? Like, what is one that just either would just make everyone mad, or it's just a terrible figure? Why would you waste it on that? Like that, I'm curious what everyone's opinion would be.
Yeah, I don't know. Caleb, TJ, what do y'all think?
I know one that they would say a hard no to would be Felix Faust, who wants that back ever.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. That'd be pretty.
Okay, so
divisive.
It would be so, but how about answering the question this way? One that they would likely say yes to, but everyone would be mad about because you picked like an awful figure.
Awful as in broken, or awful as in not good?
Yes, the second way, not good.
It's not good.
Like, what's a fairly recent? I mean, you don't have to go back to HyperTime. Let's say a decently far back, but what's just a terrible figure that when you think about it, you're like, oh, why did I have to play him, or why was he available to play?
Well, I guess one for that first that comes to mind is a 2x2 Puff the Dragon from XDPS that's going to be rotating soon. I would hate for that guy to get a legacy card.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
There's also Son of the Serpent. That was from the first set I played in, Avengers Assemble.
Oh, yes. He's the only one with the Son of Serpent keyword in the game.
Yes.
All right, so I have two suggestions. One, pick one of the stupid chases from Nick Fury, which was all the vehicles. So it's yeah, I picked the Thanos throne or the Shield space rig. I want one of those to come back, please.
Well, now the Sky Cycle is OP, so
the space rig wasn't bad either, because it gave you could put that with Balls of Fury, I think, to give them sidestep and move them around a little bit. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
But we know deep down what you're choosing, 100%. And I'm gonna. You don't have to say it, Dan, but everyone knows that clearly it's Golden Skull. 100%. You're just bringing Golden Skull back. for some reason.
Oh,
I don't know why.
That's Tyler's favorite figure.
Yeah, well, it's a homage to Tyler, I think, is why you would do that.
Right. Yeah, I'm just going to save that for let Tyler pick that for whenever he wins this event. So
I do like that you suggested to him in chat that you were going to do a legacy card for his Juggernaut in House of X.
And he said you better not.
just to make it better.
Yeah, just to redo it and make it better. That would be. I think that would probably be the most offensive thing that you could have picked to at least one person, right? Is to pick their world's figure, right? And, yeah, like.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. If you picked any of them, I think you would. Well, I don't know. I mean, if you were like paying homage to the person or something,
right?
That might be different.
That's a little bit different, right? Like I think like Ben Crawler would be a cool one to pick.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think Ben would get offended, but
yeah.
But if you were to pick like say Beta Ray Bill and say just make it worse, Pat might be mad.
Just make it worse.
Yeah, just tell him make it worse, please.
Oh man!
But all right, so
now,
we
haven't had a legacy card with someone who came with an item yet. Beta Ray Bill would the question would.
No, we did. Mm-hmm. They didn't come with it.
Oh yeah, we got like Pile Driver or something.
No, it wasn't Pile Driver. It was the other one, Thunderball.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah. So he just didn't come with it.
Yep. Are you done talking about your individual teams?
Yeah. What else do you want to cover about the event before we head into questions?
Oh, I definitely want to, unless it's talked about in questions, I definitely want to get your guys' take on, this is the first Silver Age major tournament. It has ID cards, which came in with some animosity. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on how like the first Silver Age tournament really felt to you guys. It's a new alternate format, so how'd it feel?
Well, I'll go first. I think that ID cards help Thanos is reining him in as far as being able to beat him.
Kaleb, you had me scared. I thought you were going to say it helps Thanos a lot, and I was going to be like, no.
I mean, it kind of does both, because he can call in some big heavy hitters, but when you're able to call in a Green Arrow or a Beast, Black Widow, I mean, those are all really good counters to Thanos.
Yeah. And
you don't have to main board them. You can just bring them in for a turn and hopefully roll good on blades or... Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, I didn't.
To Thanos. Because who wants to main force a Beast chase when you can just pay 3 points to bring him in for a turn?
And I mean, I feel like we're still obviously scratching the surface when it comes to Silver Age. It takes a few months to really, I feel like, hone in a new meta. Like anytime we get a new set, it takes at least a month or two. And we didn't really get that long of a time for when IDs were legal, and then we lost some IDs. But there wasn't exactly a ton of time to let everything settle in Silver Age before the big tournament happened.
Yeah, I was actually really negative on the ID cards in the beginning, but after playing with it all, I think it's fine. I think they add so much more diversity to what's going on now.
Yeah, I think I agree. So it was I think the meta changed enough to that ID cards became spice, rather than a way to build around. So a necessity, right? Because a lot of teams back when they were legal, right? You had Kobik, right? That I mean, Kaleb played Kobik a lot. And it was a bounce in and out, right? It was calling the ID, do a bunch, bounce back, bounce in, bounce back. And if you bounced in and bounced out the right way, the other team couldn't respond. Well, now teams have so many different ways to respond just on the main force that one little call in doesn't disable an entire team like it used to.
Yeah. Yeah, there definitely weren't many, if any, ID only battery teams like we used to see. Like you said, the Kobik teams, the beefier teams where your idea was just either the ID yo-yo or that was your thing. You played like 6 IDs and that was your main focus of your main damage was that. We didn't see many of that. There may have been some that utilized the IDs as additional damage, but not many that relied on it solely as its only damage.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think that's almost kind of like what IDs were originally intended. Like, I don't feel like they intended them to be like, oh yes, this is all of your damage. Like, you're only going to ever call in IDs. It's almost as if this is what IDs were intended to be, and it's just the meta couldn't really handle it at the time, and so now Silver Age, because it is faster, because you have the reach to go across the map without them, it makes it where okay, it's tolerable. It's perfectly. I honestly, after this weekend, I feel perfectly fine with IDs. I was a little bit on the fence. I was cautious, and that doesn't mean all IDs. I still think there's room to look at different IDs and see if they are problematic in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Superman, pretty strong. I don't know. I don't know if were there any problematic IDs or any that you saw that were.
I don't
everywhere?
think so. Right. I mean, I think everything gave somebody a chance to respond. Right. There was no figure that we forgot about. There was a Superman that they were calling out that was pretty good, but like it wasn't the JLU one either. They were calling out the BTAS rare one, I guess. No,
Is the boxing ring one's legal? Was it
the boxing ring one? No.
That kind of surprised me.
Yeah, there was some other Superman that folks were calling in that was able to attack twice, but I mean, it wasn't even that big a deal, really.
Yeah.
The same Superman can attack twice. You just have to play him at the upper dial, right?
10.1 Cain, the robot. He can do a.
Oh, the 95 point. Yeah, he can at 95, I guess, right?
Yep.
He can make a. I didn't even. Yeah, see, so some of the stuff hadn't even been explored because I didn't even look at him at 95 points, to be honest. So he can do a little penetrating damage attack, ranged one as well. That's neat.
Yeah, I think Silver Age. I think it's a perfectly fine format. I think it's one that's just going to keep growing. I think that's something that people have to remember is that it is going to just keep growing. It's like Golden Age if Golden Age started 4 years ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Golden Age has had 20 years or however many Oreo base, so 15 years.
Right. Bronze Age is back 11 years, but yeah.
Yeah, so it has that amount of figures. That's why it's just so insane. But Silver Age doesn't have that yet. But that doesn't mean it won't get there eventually. Probably not the same level of insaneness, but it's a very interesting start. A very optimistic looking start to it. And we don't really have any other Silver Age major tournaments planned. I mean, that was the Nationals, so... Right. Outside of smaller rock events or regionals or something, we just have to assume there's going to be a Silver Age Worlds.
Right. Yep, you got it. But yeah, no, I think anything. So, Alex, from your perspective, what was your favorite part of the weekend? Right, you didn't get to play. You had to judge and stream all weekend and stuff. And what was your favorite part?
See, it was absolutely cool that Porter was there. Not going to sugarcoat that at all. Super great guy. Really big into, very supportive of the event. Obviously, it means a lot to him. And but it wasn't one where like he everything you see genuinely on TV is how he is genuinely. Like it is 100%. That is how he is. He is very energetic about comics, about the game. It isn't just a show for the TV. It's legitimate. He's big about it. He's big about the cause, and so it was really cool seeing him in person and finally getting to talk to him in person. And I thought it was great that he did really well in his tournament, the Scott Porter Invitational, because I was telling him about it. It's like, I think this is great for you because, people like to give him crap on the videos because, he talks about, the last time I played was forever ago or, competitively. And, people do give him crap on there because they're like, well, what do you know about figures or whatever? You haven't played in forever. So it's good that I'm happy that he was actually like able to play and do well. And the event went much better than I anticipated. I was worried that, going into it, there wasn't a lot of hype. There wasn't a lot of, and that was well deserved because, the weekend wasn't the best weekend to choose. But all in all, I mean, I think it was very successful. I think the auction was great. I thought adding in a second auction and then the in-person auction. You guys left, right? Didn't you leave before the auction?
Yeah, we left to go get our full 10 hours of sleep before Saturday.
Yeah, you guys missed a very action-packed, like, in-person auction. It was, if everyone had been there, like the whole crowd, I think it would have been even better. I think one of the things you might see next year is not just like, obviously the auction is full of great figures, but I think you'll see a lot more I won't say joke prizing, but there's always those charity prizing that's like you're basically donating money for something funny, but it's just an excuse for you to donate money. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like we had a thing where it's like Scott Porter was going to be able to sign Scott Crampton's head or something. Like we had that as an auction item, and it actually went for a decent amount of money. Those type of things. I think that, like the PJ donating his time to do coaching. Like I think those are the things that outside of the awesome figures that people would really enjoy, and so I think that's what'll make the auction grow even further and just make the whole weekend grow further. So I think if I were to talk more about the weekend, I think having at Lucky Dice was fine. I think it was very well managed from that standpoint. We didn't really have a lot of slowdowns as far as tournament goes outside of literally waiting for players to show up. I think that was really the only reason we had a lot of shutdowns outside of, I think we had some issues with the printer at some point.
Yeah, but that was on Thursday, so that was fixed pretty quickly.
Yeah, we had a little bit of issue with that. But other than that, I feel like it was, run pretty well. I think all we're going to do from it is just grow and make it better and better and listen to the community and see, hey, what does everybody want to play? Because we had a lot of people that were very excited and some that wish they could come down. So, yeah, I think it was great. I think Silver Age is here to stay. I think I assume you have questions regarding Thanos. We have really tiptoed around.
Oh my gosh,
Thanos.
yes, we do. So, yeah, I mean, let's just get into the questions. But no, I appreciate that, Alex. I mean, and again, like, Kaleb, have you been to Kaleb or TJ? Y'all hadn't been to Lucky Dice before, right?
I was there 1 year.
That's right. That's
I've
right.
been there only once.
Right. And TJ, it was your first time, right?
Yeah, that was the first time I'd been down there or to Rock Cup in general.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, lots of good food, lots of beer, lots of soda, lots of desserts. They had I forget the name of those cookies, but dang, they're really good. They're not grandma's cookies level, but they're really good.
They're not the Otis Meyer, right?
That's what they were, like the Otis Spunkmeyer or whatever. So, lots of good stuff. We even, not the four of us, but with the taxi crew, we went to the beer place next door and that was really good too. So, I think it's about as close as you could get to having it in a hotel. Given the fact that Howard does have a rather large store, I think a lot of people had plenty of space. There was plenty of more space to be had. So it was probably as close as you could get to like the old hotel feel, given the caveat that it is Howard's store and he is running the event. He is a businessman.
I think the benefit, like the one thing Lucky Dice sets as a standard that unfortunately not a lot of other places can replicate, but certain ones can, is the access to food. Being able to literally, like, you finish round 2, you most likely have enough time to run and at least place your order. And then, like, while you're in the middle of playing round 3, your food will probably show up. Or after round 3, it'll show up. That flexibility, I think, is great as a player because, one, it allows you to just keep the rounds going. Whereas I know with, like, being at Nationals, at Origins or something, I remember, like, there was a break and it's like, what? Or you're playing 5 rounds, 6 rounds. It's like, well, I got to make sure I have, like, a Nutri-Grain bar or, like, some snacks with me because I'm not going to be able to go get food and come back to play. I don't have enough time for that. So Worlds had a similar setup because they have the little food stores, the cafeteria or whatever.
That's right
outside the thing. They weren't open though on one of the days. I don't think they opened much later, but that's like a bar. I feel like that's set that elevates it is because I know and Dan, I remember you too. Like it's having a long day of Swiss. If you don't have easy access to food, you're just going to be hurting. Even like halfway through Swiss, you're just like, man, I wish I brought something to like munch on or to keep the nutrition going. And that's one of the benefits I think to Lucky Dice is that they have the food there. They'll bring it to you. You don't have to worry about taking all this time to order. You could just go put your order in, pay for it, and they'll bring it to you.
That's right.
And your opponent generally doesn't mind. It's like, here's your sandwich. And you're like, okay, thanks. Like, if it delays your turn, it's a big deal. But
that really doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's hop into some questions. So, our first question comes to us from Clixed and their continued reign of slander versus Thanos. And their question was, are you sick of playing Legacy Thanos yet? No. TJ?
No, I'm perfectly content to keep playing him.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very budget-minded team. He's very, overall, right? He is $90 to $100 with him in his card. But when you compare that to a Venom Magneto being $200, $250, $300, $400, I really like the budget-minded part of Legacy Thanos. I think that really helps out a lot of new players. So William K. Holland, who gets constantly beat up on by TJ at his local store, how do you develop as a better player in the land of Legacy Thanos and monster teams? So this is probably a little bit, transitioning to a modern type question.
Come on, bro, get good. Isn't that what we're supposed to say?
No, that's what other people would probably say, but not us.
Oh, my bad.
So, it's tough, right? Because you just got to find... So what you have to be able to find is you have to find something that's your play style, something that you like to play, something that you learn to play. Kaleb, what do you think? I mean, you probably play some more of other things besides this, right?
Yeah, I've played Thanos. I think he's fun to play. I enjoy building teams to beat that. So I guess I'd compare it to Kobik. When Kobik first came out, it was everyone's using Kobik. So you either use Kobik or you use teams that can beat Kobik. The problem with that is you build a team to beat Thanos. Can that team also beat other archetypes?
Right. Namely, can it beat monsters? Right. Can your anti-monster team beat Thanos? Can it beat? Then you go into say, can it beat, say, X-Men? Right.
and of course there's different, modern versus silver. I think Silver Age, I don't know. It's hard to say because if Thanos hits his super senses and you can't deal with his range and get through barrier or his body blockers, it's hard to deal with him. But I don't know. I think he's fun to play. I think he's hard to beat, but I think he's beatable. And we saw it, as I think it's one of these questions pointed out, that there was a lot of Thanoses in the main event, but only one of them, I think, if I remember that right, made it into the top cut.
Yep, that's right. So that was Scott Crampton's question. Can you mention how many Thanoses were left after 5 rounds? And the fact that the only people that really played him in the top cut were the people had already had their buys. Yeah, only one Thanos made it out of Swiss. So there were 6 out of the 18 Thanoses, or 6 out of the 18 teams were Thanos in the top 16. But then the other teams, there was 5 Blackhearts? 6 Thanoses, 5 Blackhearts?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not get the full list of all the players, like all the builds.
You did. You took pictures of them. It's on Facebook.
No, I did. I did at the 16. I didn't of the full.
Oh, the full thing. Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, because I don't know how many Thanos there were in Swiss. There may have only. I think there really only was a couple.
Right. Well, there was Michael. There was Jalen and TJ, and then Mike Baker, and then the guy that Kaleb faced. So I know of 5 offhand that I saw.
Right.
Yeah, I played against him 3 games in a row.
Right,
and I was playing.
So you played against Jalen, Mike Baker, and did you? What else?
And Alex was the other guy's name.
Okay, so that was 6.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
not-
1 out of 6. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's really not that
Like you
crazy.
said.
I mean, okay, let's be honest, because I know you guys are a bunch of Thanos players, so obviously there is a little bit of a bias. Let's be perfectly honest, a tiny bit of bias. Yes, that seems like a lot of Thanoses, because it is a lot of Thanoses. Like just pure, like you said, Dan, very low cost of entry. You don't have to, unless the field is flooded with them. It doesn't take a lot of skill to do well with him. I mean that in like the nicest way possible. If you get some really hot rolls, you be rolling those 6s to get 3 gems pretty consistently. You're probably gonna make top cut if you're lucky. Like even with poor play, you could probably make your way to a top cut.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you can do it with the.
We've seen it though.
Not with the poor play.
Okay, mediocre play. Let me up that to a mediocre from poor. Like you said, it's a figure that allows relatively newer players, to probably make cuts they wouldn't have made before. Because of cost, and 2 because the skills required to play him is pretty low. Like
Right.
You guys are able to finesse more out of Thanos to succeed more, but to just make cuts, you don't need that level of finesse. You can deal with, I'm just going to shoot through everything, mind control, hit some stuff, and hopefully roll out of things. Like, if you play the most basic level Thanos play, you have a decent chance to succeed.
Right.
The other meta teams are significantly more complicated. X-Men swap out. Swap out.
So they're not
Very
really
complicated.
though. No, they're not. I mean, once you get the math down, and like Monster is not that complicated. You freaking perplex up and yeet out Sky Tyrant, and then you hope you decimate the whole team on turn 2.
No, that's not exactly how Monster works. Monster does roll. Monster does rely on Scarab a decent amount too, depending on the formation of Monster.
Right, I get it. But you also send out Venom Wolverine carrying Blackheart after you copy the Underworld, and then you make 2 attacks. You know, kill a guard. You do all this other shit like immediately on turn 2. So it's all the same thing. It's all fairly low skill play, right? Because you just go out there and you yeet things across the board turn 2, right? And then you see what happens after that. The real skill comes in, what do you do with those teams in turn 3 and beyond? And that's what separates being able to make a top cut and not being able to make a top cut.
Yeah, one thing I will say, to the point of Blackheart has kind of risen to the point where everyone, I guess, feels like he's a counter to Thanos.
He makes a lot. He generates a lot of attacks.
Right. Did people just forget that Blackheart's just not very good at silver? He has a lot of silver bullets in silver.
No, but how did he make it through Swiss?
Who?
Blackheart. There was 5 Blackheart teams.
Was there?
I went in thinking Blackheart would not be as good. Actually, one of my monster team was Blackheart with Sky Tyrant, and I decided against it because I thought in practice he just kept dying.
That's right.
ID cards.
Yeah.
You got I think that.
And there was a Blackheart in top 4.
Now I'm going to look at the builds I posted. Where did I post these builds?
In our group.
Our group? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I saw the most is from the past 2 events I've been to is that all the Thanoses end up matched up against each other in rounds 2, 3, 4, and so they knock each other out. So you only get 1 or 2 because they generally score around the same amount of points.
Okay, so if it's a Thanos Blackheart team, I don't count that, because that's a Thanos team with a Blackheart. Let's see. So there is a Sky Tyrant team with a Blackheart. So that was Isaac.
Yep.
There's only, is that top 8? So there's technically 3, but really 2 in top 8. Because once again, I don't count the Thanos Blackheart team. That's just not it. Let's see. Ed didn't play him. Steven didn't play him. I mean, were there really that many? I didn't see that many. Brian was playing the Sky. Oh yeah, Brian was playing like everything meta team.
Yeah.
Like Mini Shredder, Blackheart, Sky Tyrant, Venom, Magneto. So that one I'll count. Jason Allen. Hey, let's give props to Jason Allen, by the way. Fellow teammate here. He came out of kind of the woodwork with his doppelganger team, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And did very well with it. It was Blackheart, but I feel like doppelganger did a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, he's saying a lot of praises on how good doppelganger was for him.
Yeah. Aaron Tarble was another doppelganger Blackheart type team. And then Anthony Barragon was playing Sky Tyrant, Blackheart, and Bizarro Green Arrow type team.
So lots of Sky Tyrants and lots of Blackhearts.
Yeah, I just don't think Blackheart. I mean, Blackheart may have been the key thing, but I feel like it was more Sky Tyrants. Like, you didn't see a lot. So let me say this: you didn't see a lot of Hellfire Club or Mystical Blackheart teams.
So that's not really the point, though, Alex. There's almost as many Blackhearts as there is Thanoses. Biases aside, the numbers don't lie.
But I don't think Blackheart was the reason these teams won. That's what I'm trying to say. It isn't like they built around Blackheart and he just carried the teams. I think Jason and Aaron's team, sure, Blackheart helped, but I think Doppelganger was the main thing. All these other monster teams, Sky Tyrant was the main thing, because you can't focus on Blackheart if Sky Tyrant is still around.
Well, it just is what it is. So,
right,
I just want to be clear is that anyone that complains about Thanos, please say at the same time, Sky Tyrant, Blackheart, Molecule Man at the same time.
I disagree with that.
Yeah, but it's absolutely the same thing. There is one viable tentpole in all of current modern HeroClix, and everyone wants him to be changed so that we all just go back to Sky Tyrant each other, because guaranteed as soon as you change Thanos into unplayability, is we just go back to playing Sky Tyrant. It's easy.
I don't know if I agree Blackheart goes on that list.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. I don't agree Molecule Man goes on the list, but I definitely agree Sky Tyrant goes on that list.
So I'm just looking at what's 125 points and higher in Modern. There's 294 characters in Modern above 125 points, and not a single one of them is playable.
I don't know if that's a fair thing to state. I agree with you. Him being the...
Yeah, you agree with me, but you don't think it's a fair thing to say?
Well, I mean, there are pieces that have those higher points, but they're clearly better played at the lower points.
Well, that's fine.
Doesn't Blackheart have a higher point value?
He does, but you're not going to play him at 150 when you can play two of them at 75.
Right. I mean, to me, a tent pole is one that really only has that one click. But I get what you're saying, and let me ask you this. This might be a good question. WizKids looks at this tournament. I know you're going to say Thanos should not be watch listed by any means. Is there anything else that should be watch listed? Is there anything watch listable currently?
I don't think so.
And is there anything else that should... We talked about IDs. Is there anything else that should be banned or updated for Silver Age?
I don't think so.
Silver Age is a format that needs constant monitoring because, like Golden Age or Bronze Age, there's a lot of things you don't think of the Golden Skulls. You don't think of those figures with unique interactions.
So what I would say is... if there's anything to add to the watch list in general, it is Molecule Man, Blackheart, Sky Tyrant, Thanos. If you take any one of those four away, then it's wrong.
Yeah, you have to do all four because otherwise the other three just wreck.
That's right.
What would you even change? I'm not gonna ask all the changes, but the one that's sticking out to me most is that I don't know what do you do with Molecule Man?
You make a smoke cloud not free.
Because it's in watch list, dude. Not all watch lists completely obliterate or ruin a figure. That would just completely obliterate and ruin a figure.
Well, you leave his conversion as free.
Yeah, so you can get rid of opposing barrier, and then he can power action barrier for 30 points. So he can still get rid of opposing barrier, which that's huge. You can combine him with other characters that can do free smoke cloud, but he just can't do it himself.
Anyway, just a thought. I mean, people.
And then I would say Blackheart should be changed to an opposing character that was KO'd for him to do penetrating damage. This whole sacking a guard and then dealing penetrating damage, that's way too powerful.
But it goes against really what he's meant. Like, that's the main mechanic
so,
he's built around.
I get it, but it's a very powerful mechanic. I think that's what you're failing to acknowledge, is that it works fine, but it's just way too powerful. Like, if you're going to say that Thanos being able to have improved targeting everything, or mind control for free, phasing for free, all this other stuff for free, as 175 points, then Blackheart being able to yeet one of his buddies, come over, smack you twice with a charged flurry, and then power action flurry you again, That's way too much for only giving up 25 points. That's 12 damage with one power action.
I mean, to be fair, you would have to be on click 2 to do the flurry. Right?
Well, good thing he heals up off his stop click when he kills one of his buddies.
I know, I'm just saying, it's not like right out the gate he's sitting there flurrying you, hitting you 4 times. There has to be some interaction. And he does give up points. The thing I'm...
Alright, we got to get to Caleb's question. He's got to get out of here soon, so... Caleb, would you have changed anything on the Foot Elite team after looking back at the event?
So the Iceberg Lounge bonus was good. I think it forced me to use that map when maps like the Hacienda Extended Start Zone would benefit. Bystanders did good on stealing objects, but Thanos gets around them by mind controlling, then I can't retell on him. So they were good, but I think that's something I could give up. I definitely needed a trouble alert for misses. I didn't think that would be missed, but it was. On the games I lost, missing more than once. And then just remembering that Flash can kill a black card with the tank.
Right.
Would have saved both the monster teams I lost to. Would have been very much a different game.
Yep, I'm with you.
But
well, thanks.
So the changes would be not having Iceberg Lounge bonus and maybe either another ID or an item in the new set would be lots of 5-point items.
Sure. And Captain Carter, right?
And yes, and Captain. Yeah, the team's gonna change. Captain Carter's a definite addition, and no more Captain Marvel.
Well, thanks for being on, Caleb. You can hop off whenever you want.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to a couple other questions. John Eric Hafford, I want to save your question for the next episode. So if you could remind us, if you could ask that again.
What was the question?
About the upcoming Legacy cards.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is more of a Rock Cup recap. And then Luis Reyes asked 2 questions. When do you predict WizKids will announce the date of Worlds? It has been, 10 days since we recorded before last, maybe almost 2 weeks. It is still too freaking late to announce Worlds. We also have dates coming up this weekend to register for events for Gen Con with no announcement.
We should probably talk about that real quick, right? Because
we don't know what's they posted the events, but there's been no article.
I know, but that's big though. Like all of their events are out there currently. Sure, they could add more, but right now we see that there are 4 16-person pods, and winners go on into a final. Like that, we know that is the current plan based off of their posting in the events.
Right, and then this weekend, this Sunday at noon or 11 Central, they go up for registration.
Right. So people need to know this now.
Right.
So we may not get an official announcement.
Right. So Alex, if you're planning on going, you need to get your ticket. Same to you, TJ. You need to get your ticket before Sunday, and then have your plan in place to go register for these qualification pods.
And anybody that's worried about signing up, tickets to Gen Con are refundable through June. So there's a date in June. I think you get a refund for your ticket. So if you sign up for Gen Con with only the intent to go to Nationals, and you're just not one of the 64 to play in Modern Nationals, then you could get a refund. From what I understand, you can.
Yeah.
So,
and I wonder how they're doing because the original Rock announcement said that if you had 25 of the WKO points, you're qualified for Nationals.
No WKO points. I think that's listed on the event. I remember it may have been on the finals, if I'm mistaken. So maybe they're doing it for the actual national 16-person tournament. I just remember seeing it listed somewhere on there, either finals or the other one that says like no WKO points or something will be allowed or something.
I'm looking real quick.
Yeah, pretty confident that was on there.
U.S. Nationals qualifier. 3 rounds of 300 point. The qualifiers are 300 points, 300 modern constructed. 3 rounds of play. Top 4 players from each qualifier proceeds to the championship Saturday. That doesn't say anything about rock points.
WKO points.
Yeah, those things. Yes. Oh, they have a fan appreciation event on Friday.
Yeah, and they're doing 2 X of Swords events. They're doing a bunch of BRs. So
the X of Swords events is the same time as the national championships. No, so it says. So here's the thing, players. I don't think we've gotten a full announcement either way, Alex. Players who qualified in a HeroClix U.S. National Qualifier event compete to play for their pace in the finals. 300 modern constructed, 4 rounds of single elimination. Team sheet required.
Maybe it was in the finals one, but if
all right,
not,
I'm going to go look at the final one right now.
Yeah, if it's not in there, then hey, maybe they are could be used.
I'm going to look at the finals. The top 2 HeroClix U.S. National Championship Finals players compete for the title of HeroClix U.S. National Champion. 300-point modern constructed, 1 round of single elimination. Top team sheet required. So there's 4 16-player pods. So that'll be 4-4-4. Top 16 from the 4 pods go play 4 rounds of single elim. And then the top 2 compete in another round, I guess.
I mean, that's obviously not ideal, but I mean, it's not terrible. But
Well,
it certainly could be better.
Yeah, it definitely could be better. But I mean, given that we're just now coming back from COVID, and Gen Con still has certain requirements for vaccinations and masks and stuff. I mean, maybe there are only 64 players that make it.
And Howard just ran a event where it was normal, it felt great, and all that other stuff. Like
but there was only 40 to 50 players there. But once again, that was Mother's Day weekend, a terrible weekend to plan it, and
there's no. I mean, I would expect there to be a full. What I would have expected would have been a full event from WizKids, and I'm a little disappointed that it's not happening that way. So
I think we gotta give it time, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any devil's advocate that I'm going to allow you to get by with on this one.
Well, I mean, this is the first time we've had it at Gen Con in a long time.
It is. But all right, next question. So Luis Reyes, do you stay with Thanos Spider Fam without Green Proteus? In regards to the Road to Nationals, yes. Road to Nationals starts this week for a lot of people, as the online tournament with Bradcast is switching to 300 modern post-rotation Disney Plus legal. We do not know if House of X of Swords will be legal in time for the event. I mean, we just don't know. It is likely, but we don't know. So most everyone is going with the assumption that post-rotation Disney Plus is going to be the Nationals meta. Then we'll adjust for House X of Swords from there. So yes, oddly enough, I do have my team already ready. It is Thanos, Spider-Pharaoh, Darcy, Marvella, Mary Jane, Alchemical Fire. +5 theme team, Spider-Man family. We'll see how it tests.
And I'm dittoing that team.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I've got a second. I bought a second Spider-Pharaoh last week for Sam. The reach is better on the team. The leadership's there. The enhancements there. It works out just fine.
Let me ask you this: are you concerned at all of now? Not necessarily you specifically, because obviously you are very prepared for a lot of things. Are you prepared at all about Thanos being solved?
Thanos being what?
Solved.
In the
You know what I mean?
current
Like,
in the current post rotation meta, no.
okay.
So
Inevitably, if a piece isn't quote unquote broken, then eventually the meta compensates and
right.
solves it.
So Bat Doom got solved for. That
Right.
was the problem.
Right.
I mean, just go play the emotional modifier, right? Easy peasy, breezy, beautiful cover girl.
I feel like you're being facetious when you're saying this.
So.
Your tone does not hint that that's obviously the solution. But it sounds like no, you're not worried about the meta somehow solving.
No, not really. As long as people still play Molecule Mans and all this other kind of stuff, and all this barrier, that improved targeting and blocking will still be relevant. So, I think there's plenty of things that can beat Thanos. I think what is relevant for people is, I hate to keep harping on this point, but like TJ, let me ask you this. If I told you that you could play your Thanos team, right, the Spider Pharaoh version or your Doom version, or I had to tell you, TJ, the only way that you're going to beat Thanos is if you go out and buy a Venom Magneto, a Jubilee, a Chase A couple of Maggots, I don't know, whatever else to make an X-Men team, are you going to go spend another $600-700 to do that?
Zero chance.
Right. Because you've invested in a team that's good and you're going to play it. So
look, you have said that it is a low investment.
It is. It is.
It is a low investment.
So, and we often talk about like top players will play what they think is good. And I totally agree with that. And
I'm actually, go ahead. I do have a counterpoint. So
you do have a counterpoint, right? But you also have access to like pieces, right? Keep in mind, I guess check your privilege, coos. I'm being funny there. I hope that comes through. Because like quite literally, if you want to go to an event, like I have everything that you could need to borrow. And
right.
So like a lot of people don't have access to that. And I think that's really huge part that people are missing when it comes to Thanos. And the potential errata to Thanos will price a lot of people out of competitive. Because I have no problem playing the Venom Magneto and whatever else and Sky Tyrant and all this other stuff. I have that at the ready. It's 20 feet away from me right now. But some people don't. So what's your counterpoint?
Mike, well, you got the talkings. Now I'm trying to think of what my counterpoint was. I think it's more along the lines of, it was about the best players playing the best teams. I used to think that the top HeroClix players saved their best teams for the bigger events. They brought their A game. But honestly, I think it's just HeroClix players all suffer from short attention spans, except for you, Dan, because you feel confident and comfortable playing the same piece for a while. And if it's smaller tournaments, you might switch it up and play a different type of team or complete different team altogether. But you are 100% confident in riding and dying if you believe in a piece, which you did with Unimind and you do with Thanos. I don't believe that holds true for a lot of players. I think a lot of players just get tired of figures, even if it's arguably the best, and people get confident in that, my version of this team is better. And that's where we get all the different innovations of teams. That's where we get the X-Men switch out. That's where we get all these teams that are just unique, the unique versions, not the monster teams that are the same. But you could argue the Venom Wolverine was a somewhat of an innovation because she was underlooked for a while.
Right.
So I don't know if I agree with everyone's going to play the best, the best of the best. They're going to play the best in what they think is the best, and that's going to be probably different than what other people think.
Right. I think that they're going to be able to. I think folks are going to play the best team that they can get for Gen Con. The best players don't necessarily always have access to all the best stuff. Because we're coming out of COVID, and
right.
I think that there's going to be a rush over the summer to see what develops in preparation for Gen Con in Memphis.
We could use this time real quick to mention the HeroClix Mooching House and other online venues where there are plenty of HeroClix players that are willing to help others get figures. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to have readily access to Venom Magnetos and certain pieces that are difficult. But if you don't have a team and you don't have a lot of friends that play the game, the community is great like that, to where if you need certain things, you could get them. I will say this real quick, and it's kind of a preview to how probably our next multiple podcasts and live streams are going to be as we do this road to nationals. Rotation is really going to help Thanos, I think, in the long run.
Yeah.
He doesn't lose a lot. X-Men loses a lot, in my opinion. Losing the cables is pretty big.
Yeah.
They do rely on cables pretty significantly. So just losing that, X-Men has to readjust. Avengers has to greatly readjust. Not that Avengers was amazing, but Avengers having Black Widow being one of the hard counters to Thanos, even though it wasn't easy, she is technically a hard counter if you could get in there. She's gone now. So Monster loses some pieces, but not all their pieces. They lose some. So like all the major teams take a hit, but because Thanos is more of a tentpole team, he's easier to navigate around the hits. So it is very much when is Gen Con? Is it beginning of August, end of July? When is Gen Con?
First weekend of August, yeah.
So we have 1 month to adjust. I mean, obviously people are going to play rotation before then, but for major tournaments, if there are any we don't know if there's even any major tournaments from now to nationals. So for now, we're going to have to rely on broadcasts or any online events or local, smaller regionals to really set the meta post-rotation and just see where things are for that 1 month. Kind of similar to Silver Age. What happened in Silver Age.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And I think more and more outcry is going to come for Thanos. But whether that's warranted or not, things are obviously going to get interesting.
Right. So I just updated my wish list for Gen Con, and I added 3 of the qualifiers and the X of Swords event for Friday.
That'd be fun to play the X of Swords event. Like that's really going to be your first, because the kits don't come out till
July.
July.
Yeah.
So you
we'll see.
we might have already played in one locally. So that one probably should be month 2, unless I don't know if it specifies.
Yeah. Did you guys see that there's $60 though?
Yes. The event thing says you will receive 3 boosters.
Yeah. Yeah, theirs is an enhanced version of it.
Right, but so they can do it. They do it cheaper than the store because they don't have that. They don't have the middleman in the middle.
Yep.
All right, let's roll through a couple other questions. Jay sends in bearing another Thanos. Were there other team game elements that gave you trouble? I mean, monsters gave me trouble. What about you, TJ?
Bizarre Green Arrow was an issue one day, He was no problem with when I had the tank. um, but then Fantastic Four is still the bane of my existence.
Right.
Franklin and Lockjaw, just it's very difficult for me right now.
Yeah. Michael Kupak asked, after seeing how your team was co-opted by someone else and then piloted to a victory, do you keep the teams you build closer to the best going forward? The answer to that is absolutely not. I do this very publicly because I enjoy doing that, and I want people to learn, and I am quite honored that Scott won with my team a couple of weeks ago, and that Scott played Thanos and won as well. So,
and he hasn't shied away of mentioning it's your team. That's the benefit of this community.
yeah,
Is that or for the most part, if somebody uses a team piloted by someone else, they share it fairly publicly, as long as it's a team that's been shared publicly. If it's something that was like built in house in one of the teams, then maybe not. But he gave you credit for all of it, so it's like, how would you not be
right,
happy? Like, sure,
Yeah.
you may not be happy it wasn't you, but
right. Yeah, I had to think at the end of the day, right? I'm not. I can't think of it that I lost this past weekend. I think more of Scott won and Thanos won. Because like obviously I have a bias as a Thanos player, but like Thanos is like my favorite Marvel villain. So it's like the equivalent of George Massue getting second at Nationals or Worlds that year with Lex Luthor. The Justice League Trinity War one. I mean, because George loves Lex, right? And Black Adam, right? It's the same idea.
I was thinking you were going to say Black Adam when you said George.
Right. Yeah. I mean, George, I know, loves Black Adam more, but I know he's a big fan of Lex, too. But, I mean, it's the same idea, right?
No, absolutely. Definitely the same idea.
Right. So it's great. So McConnell, so I didn't really have a preference. I think ideally, like, I want to try to win to do both whenever it comes to making the bystander or the legacy card. So, Scott picked the bystander, so I was totally okay with either. So, hopefully I get the opportunity to play again in that event, and hopefully I do well enough where I can make a bystander. So, did we talk about this before? McConnell also asked, was there any figure or game element whose absence surprised you?
No, we haven't mentioned that.
We mentioned that we were surprised by Blackheart being there. Well, I guess we were kind of surprised about Goblin King or a full uni. No,
there wasn't more.
That the absence. That's what we're talking about, right? So
yes.
who was missing? Full uni, full Gobby, and a little bit more. There was only one full Gobby.
Yeah, Sheriff Strange. I expected to see at least somebody try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Pat having played Sheriff Strange.
Yeah.
On one or two of his teams. I was a little bit surprised by that. Maybe more mini shredders. We only saw, I think, one.
Right.
So that was a little bit surprising. Besides that, I mean, there wasn't a lot from, like, maybe ID wise, there wasn't as many as you would think. Like, I don't think I saw a single like Harley ID.
There was Harley ID. I saw them, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see any, but if so, it was not played a ton. But no, I didn't see any like Joker IDs.
No, I didn't either.
Like not of the like IDs that were like. What about Jean Grey?
I may have been the only one playing Jean Grey. I think Jack did as well.
Like, I know I saw Cyclops because he could blow up walls. Like, so.
Right. I think Jack played. I think Jack played Jean with Thanos to do the mind control thing.
Okay. Well, that's actually a different Jean. Like, none of the Age of Apocalypse Jeans.
No, it was all just Chase Jean.
Yeah, I remember IDs coming out. That was one of the things. Was like oh, we're just gonna go back to Chase Jean and Wolverines. Like, how many Wolverines were there?
There
A
was
few.
very few Wolverines.
There was a few, but they're very few. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's surprising is that like everyone had these expectations of this is where the IDs are. We're just going back to how IDs used to be, and no, we're not. It's just vastly different because we have better options, but not crazy options. Like the Wolverine of old isn't necessarily the best option of Wolverine anymore.
Right.
Wolverine itself, healing for one, isn't necessarily good enough anymore with how much damage is kind of going around. So,
Right. Jack Smith asked, as a Thanos player asking another Thanos players in this case, are you bored of playing him at all? No.
Nope.
I do like playing him and do very well with him, but I also understand that a lot of players do not have a good time fighting him. Now, I would say in a competitive sense, you're going to have to learn how to have a good time fighting him because he's going to be there as long as they don't errata him. Do you think you might take a break from playing him? Yeah, maybe for smaller events. But for the most part, I think that I'm going to keep playing him. He's fine. Totally fine.
That's something I've been saying about him is he's not boring. It can be mentally exhausting because you're constantly having to think of what you're going to do next.
Right. Yeah, you got to protect the guy, right? Like, not like I can just leave him out there. And that's bad. There's a lot going on with him. But do you think he's OP in Silver Age because of IDs? No, not really. Not any extra OP than a lot of anything else, really.
I mean, he's more tolerable, if anything.
Yeah.
In Silver Age. Silver Age actually makes him like not as bad.
And then John Murillo asked, do you know who won Fellowship for Best Theme Build? That was our buddy local to us, semi-local to us. That was Malcolm McCleary, who played all multiple men.
And dressed up as multiple men.
Yes. Do we know the other Fellowship guy's name? Offhand, Alex.
Which one?
The other two Fellowships.
Trent Morello, I believe, was.
He was runner up, but who wasn't? He won.
Then it was Benjamin
Umansky.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I had never met him before, but.
Gotcha. Andrew Fairweather will answer your questions on our next bigger podcast. And Jeremy Costello, not a question, but he's still angry about Origins. I can understand that. Ben Groenhide, we talked a little bit about Sheriff Strange just a little bit ago. And then Peter Marshfield will answer your question as well on the larger, more modern podcast. So, anything else for today, Alex, TJ?
Is this final thoughts?
Final thoughts, Alex.
I had a great time at the Rock Cup. I can't wait for the event next year. I'm excited to. It's really gotten my blood pumping for competitive HeroClix again. Like, I didn't get to go to PJ's event, so this was my bigger event that I went to, even though I didn't get to play in it. And it was nice. It was nice seeing people I hadn't seen in a while. It was nice playing when I could and seeing people play. So it's just kind of exciting. Definitely a good segue into, I feel like, Nationals. Like, it's just we've got time. We've got like 3 months, 2.5 months-ish. So, I mean, that's a nice round number to take the time to practice, play some mini tournaments, and get ready. So,
right. TJ, final thoughts?
Yeah, I echo what Alex said there. People need to mark their calendars now for the first weekend in May next year. It was a great event. Definitely glad that I went and got to experience that with everyone. If you're going to be in this game, that's not a weekend you want to miss.
That's right, exactly. I enjoyed seeing everybody this weekend. It was good to catch up with folks after 2 long years. Great to see everybody. Scott Porter was an amazing man to meet up with in person. And I did not take my win from Scott. Scott vanquished me, so I'll have to just save that for next time. But thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today. Look forward to seeing y'all at the next event. Prepare yourself for the road to nationals this Sunday. Very important to get registered for events. Thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today. We'll talk to y'all next time.
See ya.